Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Dojo Live. Today is Tuesday, August 31st, 2021. This is Tulio Sergusa broadcasting from Southern California. I'm joined today by Carlos Ponce in Cuernavaca, Mexico, and Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico. Hi, guys.
Hi.
And our guest, Shimon Tolts, who's the CEO and co-founder at Daytree IO, is joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel. Welcome to the show, Shimon. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
How
It's great to be here.
how many hours ahead of us are you, Shimon? We're
Nine,
noon.
I think. Nine, I think.
It's
Oh,
10 p.m. here. If you're
10,
noon, then it's 10 hours.
10
Yeah,
hours.
so
All
what
right.
we can't see is that your teeth are already brushed and you're wearing pajama bottoms.
Nah, I'm a night owl. I stay up
Easy
until 2,
there.
3.
Easy
Yeah.
there. Okay, so today we're talking about a fairly new topic for product companies in the software space. We're going to dig into it and try to learn as much as we can about product led growth, PLG. Fairly new coin term in the past couple of years. Companies like Slack and Dropbox have been converting to this model. But before we dig into that, let's get to know Shimon a little bit. If you could please tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll learn a little bit about Daytree. Thanks.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much. It's really great to be here on the show on Dojo Live. It's really cool. So, my name is Shimon. I'm 32 years old. I live in Tel Aviv now, and most of my life I've lived here. My background is mainly in software development, DevOps, infrastructure. I installed my first Linux when I was 12 years old, and I opened my first company when I was 15. I just wanted my own Linux server, and it was too expensive, so I got some other companies to put their websites on my server. And when I was 18, I sold the company and went to the Israeli military because in Israel, everyone goes to the army, and I was a criminal investigator in computer forensics. So I was dealing with computer crimes mainly. It was a very interesting 3 years. And later on, I worked in more companies also in the security field like McAfee and Intel Security. And prior to starting the tree, I was the general manager of infrastructure development at a company called Iron Source, which actually IPO'd last month for $11 billion. I joined when it was only 30 people and a dog jumped on me and it was a house. And it was a huge journey, like from 30 to 1,000 people. And I was responsible for all of the CI, CD infrastructure, scaling 400 engineers. So I'm basically a geek in this term. And I also love community very much. I'm an AWS community hero. I run a meetup group of 8,000 members, cloud enthusiasts. We had more than 100 meetings of folks talking about, DevOps, infrastructure, and cloud computing. So I very much enjoy those activities.
Awesome. Thanks for the background. Congratulations on the exit. That's a pretty sizable exit. That's a whole conversation we can have all by itself. But let's get back on track with Daytree. Tell us a bit about what gave birth to this company. What was the intention behind it? Sort of, what was that haha moment where you say, "I've got to go do this"? Tell us a bit about that.
That is a great question. So, when you work at a company and when you scale it to 400 engineers, you start small and you grow and grow and grow. And as the general manager of the infrastructure division, my mission was to build all of the infrastructure and put in all the development standards and security policies and POC new technologies for all of the other business units. And one day, a developer made a misconfiguration, a mistake. I make mistakes all the time. And this mistake got itself into production and caused a major production outage. And at this point, I thought to myself, okay, mistakes happen. We post-mortem it. We've identified what was the issue. But then I asked myself the question, how am I supposed to propagate this development standard and to make sure that we will not make the same mistake again? So I was very naive. I sent an email. I created a wiki. I sent a nice link to it. I made a meetup, but you can't really have 400 people remember things like that. And as a developer myself, I can say that receiving emails that tell you don't forget to configure this memory limit or don't forget to set this liveness probe, it's you can't remember those things. And this was the moment where we said, okay, I'm gonna quit my job and gonna build an automated solution that is going to be seamless within the workflow of the developer and is going to be like a guardrails. So I, as a developer, I don't want to take production down, but sometimes I just don't know, or I forget, or I miss something. And this will be my guardian angel that will actually scan my code before it goes into production and prevent the next outage from happening.
All right, that sounds really cool. That's very relevant to a lot of our audience members here. So let's see what we can learn. I'm particularly curious to learn a lot about what PLG, product-led growth, means and how that's being done. It seems like only a handful of companies have adopted that. Let's introduce the topic. Carlos, please kick it off.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tulio. And of course, thanks, Shimon, for being with us. So there's a question that we're going to be answering today. The question is, what is product-led growth and how can it benefit B2B and mainly B2D companies as the main go-to-market strategy? So the topic is product-led growth for B2B developer tools companies or B2B companies in the tech space. Let's start with the question. The first question that I have for you, Shimon, is why did you choose this particular topic and why did you feel it was relevant for today's day and age? Let's start there. Thank you.
So recently we've made a major change in the way of our that we do go to market in my company. And we used to be a sales driven organization. I was in San Francisco in California. We had an office, we had salespeople, and we would go and sell our software. And as COVID hit and we couldn't go to trade shows anymore, and a lot of our MO that we've built, meeting people and so on, was very, very hard. And from the get go, we always wanted to build a self service platform, something that will let the users use the product. And then we found out about product led growth. And I'm happy to say that 4 months ago, we launched our self service offering and switched to product led growth. And now we have more than 190 companies using our product this way. And for me, it was a major change, except like going back from America, firing all the salespeople, changing like a lot of things in the company. I really feel like this is the way of the future, and this is the way people want to consume software. And that, calling people and trying to sell them things, I just don't really believe in it in most verticals. Specifically in developer tools, I think that the product should sell itself.
All right.
All right.
So how does that work? How are some companies adopting this? I mean, there's historically been this sort of freeware version that you then try to convert the user, and it's very user centric. But some larger companies have procurement and purchasing orders and things of that sort, right? It's not so easy for just the user to go ahead and say, "Okay, I'm going to convert this to a paying platform." How do you work through that? Can you just break it down for us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So maybe we should start from the beginning. So if we think about it, like the 80s and the 90s, so-called, it was the CIO era. So
Hmm.
the way software was sold, there was like a company, there was someone that would connect you with the CIO of the company, will tell them, hey, we have this great CRM, we have this program. They go have drinks, play golf, and they sell them the software.
Ah, the good old days.
The good old days. Then, the here comes the exec era, the 2000s. I call it the Oracle era, right?
Hmm.
So now let's say you need to buy databases for your business unit. And they go and salespeople go and meet with the execs of the departments because it's already too big and there are so many systems to run. The CIO can't make the decision for everyone. So it starts to be delegated to the execs of the business units. And at this point, software is still sold, top down, and the execs decide we'll use this software and then go on. And 2010, I would say, comes the end user era. And this is the point where like you work in an organization and you experience the world of today. I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, you use great tools, and then you come to work and you have this clunky UI, this bad system that barely works that your company bought, and you're like, what is this? Why are we no comment. Why do we use this? And like why do we have this thing here? And all of a sudden it started changing, and and the movement of the end user, where they saying let's build good software for people in the organization, and they will go and decide which software we'll use.
Shimon, I have a quick question. Well, you mentioned an adjective. You use an adjective, clunky, and I mean, I could think of a number of things that can be clunky, but I'm not going to say them live. So, regarding the way that this whole concept of product-led growth is, it's very interesting, and it's fairly new to me personally. I'm just the layman here, the average end user. I'm not an engineer, and I don't have an engineer background. So in that context, Shimon, this is the way I understand product-led growth. I see that there is a very heavy emphasis on things like specifically the marketing of the product, because you're having a product like Calendly. You mentioned Calendly, for example. So what sort of role does marketing and specifically digital marketing play in adoption or getting the word out or increasing your user base in this type of strategies, product-led growth for B2B developer tools companies?
That's a great question. So in order to do product-led growth, you need several things. So you need for people to be able to receive value before you capture value. They need to be able to try your product before they need to pay for it. If you think of the exec era or the CIO era, like you buy the product and then you start using it. Now it's different. You start using the product, you get the value, and then you pay for it. So in terms of marketing, there like also have been three shifts in it. So in the product-led growth era, the product is your number one salesperson, and all of your marketing activities are not contact us, are not schedule a demo. All the activities are try our product, try our product, try our product. And in terms of the product, you need to build it to be catered to a clear use case, and it should be very, very simple. And as you know, it is hard to build simple things, but the companies that are able to do it in a good way are the winners on that side. So you design for
Gotcha.
the end user, you deliver value before capturing value, and you invest in the product with the go-to-market intent for people to go and sign into the product.
There's a
Love it.
correlation. There's a correlation here that I can't help but recognize. Maybe it's correlation and not causation. Maybe it's both. I think you mentioned this upswing in product-led growth happening, 3, 4 or so years ago. Over the last decade or so, or I don't really know the exact time frame, but what I do sense is also the shift in more flat organizations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people have more say in what's going on within the company. Is this directly related in that sense of I now have more say, I get to choose my budget, I get to spend my money, I don't have to go through these layers and layers and layers of, approvals. So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but do you see the correlation between flat organizations
Absolutely.
and product-led growth? Okay.
Absolutely.
What
You
Kim
know,
is saying, if I could, is that the companies that are still dictating whatever user uses are becoming dinosaurs.
yes.
Go ahead,
Yes.
please answer the
Like
question because I'm really curious.
I can't imagine like the thing, like for example in my company and like developers today, they come to work, they get the most salary they want, they bring their dog, and they check if if people come to a work interview, they come with the dog, they want to see that the dog also likes the workplace, how the dog likes it. So they are like they have 5 types of cornflakes, they have 7 types of milk, this fed, that, like it's the era. And you can, by the way, Kimi, you can also look at the generations, Generation X, Generation Z, the millennials, and so on. It's more about the personalization and being impactful. Now, I can't even imagine today a manager coming to a developer and telling him, you're going to use this IDE to develop your code. The developer is going to be like, what? Like, you're not going to dictate which IDE I'm going to use to write my code. I'm going to write my code and I'm going to use the tools that I need in order to write it. So I totally agree with you that today it's different. Today organizations bring good people, give them missions, and those people are saying that those are the tools and this is the software that I need in order to perform my work. And you see a lot of bottoms up adoption
Mm-hmm.
of products, and users that see products that are catered for their use case start using them. And if you look at Slack, for example, Slack gets into organizations until it gets to the CISO. It's like inevitable that they buy it because it's like everyone is using it. Let's just buy it so we have the enterprise security offering.
It'll
And
be
it's like a de
anarchy and
facto.
chaos if I don't. Yeah. And I think
Yes,
that's great. Like, I think the key word here is trust. So what companies have to be, the switch is I'm trusting my employees to make the correct decision. And then therefore, software development companies, particularly the B to D companies, business to developer companies, are reciprocating that. They're saying, trust me, use me, and then you'll see.
exactly. It's delivering value to the person, to put the product first, to deliver value quickly, and to introduce to the customer success before sales. It's like, I want to help you to be successful with the solution. It don't matter like money and payment. We don't care about that. We just want to be helpful. We want you to use our tool in a way that is helpful and meaningful to you. And once they do this and they actually use it, it's already game over. Like paying for it is a no-brainer. It's like
Yeah.
it's and but in order to do it, you need to reduce the friction. You need to create clear and easy user flows to onboard them and to bring the user to the aha moment.
Now, to be fair, the world has changed dramatically where 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't as online as it is today, right? So you couldn't get to the users back in the day, right? You had to
Mhm.
go through the gatekeepers to get to the users. So, how much of the fact that people are actively online, whether they are participating in sharing on GitHub or in open source libraries, etc. How do you go and meet the end users where they are? What are some of the strategies that are working?
Great question. And this, PLG, product led growth, has boomed during the last 1.5 years ever since COVID is out, because it's even extrapolated even more because everyone's at home, everyone's trying things, just trying to make their work better. And how do you get to the user? So now everyone's online, and the best way for PLG companies to distribute their product is via organic growth. So you write articles about how your solution can help them. You show real world use cases of how they can use your solution. You build a really good product that is maybe viral. If I send you a Calendly link in order to invite you to a meeting with me, you're going to be exposed to Calendly and you're going to be like, oh, what is this? So every time it's being used, there is a viral loop. More and more and more people use it. If you use Slack, maybe I send you a message and you get it in your email and then you go into Slack. So you actually need to work on bringing value, have influencers talking about it, drive traffic to your website, maybe using SEO and talking about the core problems that you solve, and then just eliminate all barriers and let them try it for themselves.
Shimon, I have a question, and this is an honest question, so please bear with me. Because remember, I'm the layman here. What is a Kubernetes?
Kubernetes.
Kubernetes.
Kubernetes?
Kubernetes. I'm sorry, Kubernetes.
Kubernetes.
I'm just being honest. I have no clue what a Kubernetes was until I just saw it here on your information. So what is it?
Okay, so Kubernetes
It's a
is
coffee maker. Just kidding.
Oh, I get
Yeah,
it. It's easy.
let's
It's
do
like
the multiple
it's like
choice.
chicken. It tastes like
That's
chicken.
easy.
If you don't understand a technical term, just say it's a coffee maker. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Shimon.
This is like what's the game apples to apples? Which one sounds like the correct answer?
Yeah.
Shimon, can you tell this is a serious show by not so serious people?
That's what I told him. That's what I told him. And he still agreed to be with us, so I guess it's his fault. Okay.
Sure
So no,
thing.
seriously, what is a Kubernetes? I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
what that is.
So in Greek, Kubernetes is a ship captain, and what it represents is in the world of cloud computing, there are three dominant clouds: Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, and they all have their own APIs. And one day, a group of people said, but why don't we build something that is cloud native, that is cloud agnostic, have one language that can run on prem and on all clouds together? And Kubernetes is this orchestrator that talks in one language and can run workloads across all of your different cloud vendors and on prem services.
Okay.
It's kind of like the TCP/IP of cloud.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. No, thanks for elaborating on that for
So Carlos is
enlightening.
like, okay, gotcha. What's
Uh,
TCIP?
he knows.
Come
We
on,
had
team.
we had Vince Surf on the
We
show.
had
He
Vince
knows what
Surf on the show.
TCP/IP.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but anyway,
So
come
I
on.
love the simplicity on how you explain everything, Shimon. I really appreciate that. It seems as though if you're a software product company, is it limited to only dev tools, or is this a strategy that the other companies are starting to adopt as well? This product-driven growth,
So
product-led growth strategy.
it has gone into many different areas. But Tulio, let me ask you a question. If you are seeking for a solution for a certain problem that you have, and you come into a website and you have two buttons, one button is schedule a demo with a salesperson, and another button is try the product for free and you just sign in and use it. Which one are you going to choose?
Oh, I like to talk. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely choose to try the product.
Of
Unless it's
course.
really complicated, then I need somebody to walk me
Yeah.
through it,
And
right?
it's
But
not
that's part
forever.
of the problem too, I suppose. If your product is too complicated, where it requires to have a demo, you need to simplify it, right?
I agree.
Big ideas are always simple. Okay,
It's
so
like, if you think about it, like, I'd rather jump off a cliff than book a demo with a salesperson. And I gotta tell you a piece of personal story. So when we started the company, we started as a top-down company, not product led. And I was this salesperson and I hired more to go and sell it. And it was really weird for me, because the way I used to buy software as an R&D manager, as an exec in IronSource, was I would go hear about something, go into the website, try it, give one of my team leaders to try it, and if they like it, then we go and put a credit card. And if it becomes a bit expensive, then we call them, get like a yearly deal, get some discount, and continue with our life. And then when I actually opened my startup, raised capital from respectable VCs, like in 2017 in Israel, it's like the security land. Everything here is like checkpoint and like everything is security companies. Now, security is traditionally sold all top down. So most VCs invest in security, and most VCs took the security playbook and said, oh, like, go meet people, eat steaks, go on dinners, and so on. And I would sit there and I would be like, am I the crazy one? I'm like, this is so, like, everyone tells me, go meet companies, go sell companies like this. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm crazy. I don't know. And now 3 years later, there are hundreds of PLG companies in Israel. And for me, I experienced this because we've built a solution to solve a problem that I had in IronSource, but with using product-led growth, finally we sell it in the way that I would want to buy it, and not try and go and sell it top down to other people.
Well, I have
Now,
to say, it hurts me a little bit. You're a really great storyteller, and I feel sad that fewer people get to go out to dinner with you.
Oh yeah, indeed. I gotta
thank
hand
you.
it to you, Shimon. I gotta hand it to you. You're good at that.
But I gotta say, this is really a moment. Like, for me, it was a eureka, and I wrote a blog post about it. Like, I was sitting in my living room drinking Negroni, like a fine liquor, and I looked at my website and I look at the button and I said, I would never click the book a demo button in my own company. I would never click this button for my own company. And I said, how could this be? Something has to change. And this is when I realized that this is not the way we want to sell our product. And this is what took us to the product led growth journey.
I love it. So my heavy question here is we threw this word around a little bit earlier in the show, or quite a bit earlier in the show now, is the word simple. Simple, simple, simple. So my guess is that with product-led growth or companies who have this as their model, they're also seeing an increase in UI and UX designers. Is that true? Would this be your tip or your advice to software development companies? Hire UI, hire UX, find out what your users are doing and wanting?
So yes, absolutely. It totally changes the trajectory and the way of thinking. Because when I was doing top down, I would meet with companies, and then maybe I'd, like, I don't know, meet this big bank or something, and then they will tell me like, yeah, we're buying this, but please add 1, 2, 3 features. And then like you need to change your whole roadmap, and like the UI and the UX of how you experience the solution, how you onboard to it. It doesn't really matter because you're going to have drinks with the guy from the banks and like you sell it to him and then they give it to their people. But when you switch, all of a sudden there is no person to talk for you. The product has to talk for you. So for us, we had to remove a lot of screens, really hide many features that we had in order to make it clear and simple. And in order to do this, yes, you need great UI, you need great UX. I think it's more of a product, and I think it's like I believe more in the minimalistic approach, where like less is more. And for every button that we put, for every, I don't know, selector box that we put, we really think, should we do this or not? Because if you don't, those systems where you come and you have like 7,000 options and you're like overwhelmed. You're like, what am I supposed to do with it? And this would never happen. Like, think about it. Even if you look at Zoom, if you look at Slack, everything is very simple. And for us in the company today, I measure how many visitors do I have to the website, how many people download and run my solution for the first time, how many people sign up and configure it. And I live by the flow. I live by looking at this and constantly improving my metrics around the user onboarding funnel.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds as though you really have to shift from selling to acting like a publisher, right? And I'm assuming the advancements in ad tech and publishing, there's a lot that could be borrowed from those industries where you get free access to content and then obviously monetize it either through subscription or advertising and so on. So kudos to you for cracking the code on that. How in your business directly, your company itself, you're mostly providing tools for developers to make sure that what they put into production gets cleansed, or at least some form of QA, automated QA, to make sure that it's working properly before it goes into production. How are you meeting those end users? Where do you find them? How do they come to you? Do you go to them? How does that work in terms of marketing your services, your
So
product? Excuse me.
the type of marketing that we believe in is no bullshit, no thought leadership content. It's only like for real, hands-on use cases, examples, like people really solving problems. And like I meet a lot of people all the time because of the communities that I manage, and I'm a public speaker, and I experience a lot of people. And we take the use cases, and for example, one of my talks is how we went through 100 postmortems and read them and extracted and created rules to prevent those 100 postmortems. So the way we meet our users is by actually helping them, because one day it's a shitty day for someone, his cluster, Kubernetes cluster, runs out of memory, his production goes down, everyone's angry, like the sales is angry, the CEO is like, what is going on? And this poor guy has to be like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? How do I prevent like memory running out of memory in my cluster? And then I want them to come to my website. And we have a troubleshooting guide, and we explain why does this happen, how to avoid this, how to fix it, how to check if they're safe in the future, and just really being helpful because those are real problems that are happening.
Love it. You're like the ambassadors for developers, making developers' life easier. We're up on time, but we definitely don't want to go away without asking a little bit more about the company culture itself. What kind of a work environment have you created there that attracts the kind of people that you want to have with you? What is the day in the life at Daytree like?
So I always tell when I interview people, I always tell them like the tree can be heaven for you or it can be hell. If you really love what you're doing, you love technology, you love working at a company that is by developers for developers every day, like talking about technology and users and acquisition, and like this will be heaven for you. If you're looking for a job, to come 9 to 5, to do whatever you need and to go home. Maybe it's less of a fit for you, because for us it's really for people that are really really passionate about what they're doing. It's not every day you get to help your peers. It's not every day that the developers in the company meet their customers and their customers are like them. Many times developers in companies, they build solutions, they don't understand the market, they don't understand why people need it. Like they're so far from the customer that they don't even understand. And here it's totally different. And because the developer is the customer, the development team is also able to help and say, hey, maybe build this feature. Hey, this doesn't work well. I think we can improve it. And we really listen to them and they can be an active part of it.
Shimon, love by developers for developers. I love that. That's an awesome tagline. It's been great to have you. We're up on time. We could talk for hours about this. It's been great to have you. We wish you a lot of success. We'll definitely have to keep up with your progress and maybe have you back and talk about some additional use cases with us in the future. So please
Thank
stay
you
with
very much.
us. Yeah, our pleasure. Please stay with us as we go off the air for wrap up. Carlos, what do we got coming up? I think we have 3 more shows, right? We got
Yeah,
2 tomorrow and 1 on
two.
Thursday.
That is correct, Julio. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, tech and its effects on the real estate industry with Thad Wong, the co-founder and co-CEO at Properties. I'm sorry. And then the one at 12 tomorrow, too. That's going to be with Josh Blank, the founder and CEO of auto.ai. I don't have the topic yet, but this is a platform to help people with hearing problems. And finally, on Thursday, we're going to be speaking with Matt Breton, the CEO of Zuzi. The topic: democratizing market research and consumer insights. So that's what we have for this week right here on Dojo Live, as ever. And of course, thanks to you guys, and thank you, Shimon, for having been with us today.
I'm sorry,
So
Carlos.
stay tuned, folks.
I'm sorry, Carlos, for interrupting. I thought Matt's was rescheduled.
Oh, that is correct, Kim. The thing is that the landing page has not been taken down. Anyway, something's
Yeah.
going to be up there. Just
Matt
keep
will
an eye on
not be
it.
with us
Well,
on the second.
Yeah, Matt is
we'll be
not going to
back
be
at
in there,
we'll be back at 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. We'll be sure to announce any
and we'll
changes.
see
No.
exactly. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.